Welcome to my channel. This is Bonsai by the Samurai, and we are having some weather. They call it Hurricane Debby. It makes it look like that I have a lake outside, but I took this footage 24 hours earlier, approximately 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. I wanted to present some of my Portulacara afra today. The elephant bush, mini jade, and these are the two large 4-year-old cuttings that I have out there. It was just 24 hours earlier that we had this, and now the water has risen and things have changed, but found a way to work around it, some inside and some outside. But stay tuned for the action as it comes about. See my neighbor over there walking through, and this is the lakefront property. Rainwater sources are full. Things up on the deck are fairly dry. You can see the Chinese elm there up on the deck. I took it in because it's in a danger zone. And we're going to go over and take a look at that danger zone now. But first of all, the film that I took yesterday were these. You can see they're surrounded by water. All that little stuff I removed from the benches yesterday. But for the most part, everything looks good over here. It's up and out of the water, even though I'm walking through 5-6 inches of water here. My neighbor's property, my landlord, the drainage area is full of water. This happens quite a bit around here. A few sticks and debris over here. Get over to where the trees are. You can see that pretty fortunate. All those limbs from over there did not touch down and hit anything here. Got some Spanish moss on my trident maple here. Go ahead and remove that. Give a little swing around here. I guess it would look like all the other trees here. Just let it sit out here all the time. Other maples are doing well. But right there, that's the spot where the Chinese elm was sitting. So I'm glad I was guided to leave and move it up at the deck area. I don't keep anything on the ground around here, and it's reasonable that I don't, because otherwise they would be underwater right now. My porch, and I'll go ahead and include this bridge planting I have here. It actually has not only a bridge, but it has a raft growing down in it also. And sitting on top is this little pink pixie. We are listening to the sounds of Hurricane Category 1 Debby. I do have a sister-in-law named Debby, and the last hurricane that came through was Hurricane Burl. The lady that sits in front of me in church. Maybe we'll get some thunder and lightning here as it sweeps through central Florida. A lot of the property here is under 6-7 inches of water. It's really hard to say. It's different in different areas. The rain comes and it goes. sometimes heavy, sometimes light. The land has been receiving water for what seems like almost a month now. Well, it's 1 o'clock. Hurricane Debby has gone through the area. The sun is out, and I'm going to be doing some work on some Portulacara afros, and they're in different stages. There's this older cutting that needs to be pruned back, and then this brand new cutting here that needs to be tip pruned. We got another one over here. It's got to be tip pruned, maybe some wire removed from it, depending on how stable it is. But the main event is going to be on this variegated that I slip potted back on the 22nd of February. So its leaves that got rather small, and it's losing its variegation. So I am going to repot it today. The first candidate is going to be this cutting that I took earlier in the year, rather large cutting, and I'm using what they call directional pruning, where that I prune it back to where I get it to go where I want it to go in the branching. So it seems like I'm cutting back right where I cut it back previously. So 1 to 2, and this is cut back previously. I am surrounded by mosquitoes out here, so they're attacking my hands. It's the only thing I got that's not covered up. So there we go. I'm inside for this one now, and one good thing about it is no mosquitoes in here. So I'm going to start off by pruning back the branches considerably, just so I can see what's going on with them, and we'll go from there. Turntable in here either. So on here, a lot of the wire was put on here in a haphazard way, mainly to keep the cutting upright. Sometimes we lay down rocks on top of a cutting on the soil level to keep it in place, but in this particular case I have it wired into the pot. Our first job is removing the bare, getting rid of the bare essentials. The rotation on it here, you can see the wire. It's got to be cut. Add some new wire to this, obviously. A single wire with a little protection on the root. So now the idea is just to start peeling away at the topsoil, which has got a lot of this plant already in it. So I'll be using pretty much the same soil going right back into it. It was brand new soil in February, and the main thing today is just to trim the roots and to get rid of some nasty looking roots that are up top. Just using a stick to loosen everything up here. Seems like we got a lot of space over here that there are no roots growing in it yet. Let's see what's going on here. Got one wire free. Secondary wire coming out. Let's take a look at the roots now. They're not just jumping out of the pot. More likely they've attached themselves to the plastic drain holes. I've noticed that a lot with bonsai. They get themselves attracted. So there we are. Not a whole lot of growth as I thought we might have, but there's some. So I guess we're going to call this another slip potting here. Rake it out a little bit. Just going to do a light trim on them. Try to rearrange some of the larger roots. Especially this one right here. See it sort of wraps around. Here we are back at it. Decided to go to a larger soil, a different soil by Bonsai Jack. Notice how fine the red stuff had gotten, and that going to do just a little bit of pruning here, as I mentioned I would. I really don't want to cut back too much. And I'm going to get rid of this upward root here. Now the larger ones here, I'm going to work them down into the pot somehow, some way. I got my guide wire in there. Slip on my little root cover here. Set the tree like I did last time. And get these wires in place, working to keep the roots down below the surface. let's work this soil down a little bit. And we'll cover it back up. This red fines. And go through there. Like I said, the holly, not holly, but plant tone is already incorporated into the red soil, so I'm not going to add any additional. I'll just keep working it down. By the looks of it, I probably can go a couple of years before I need to repot this again. In 6 months, it really didn't produce a tremendous amount of roots, even though it's been growing very well. But it did not produce a super amount of roots. Let's cut this excess wire. The bear back into place. There we are. Now, a lot of people would tell you not to water this right after doing this root pruning, because quartz pull water from their leaves, but I've heard different versions of that, so I'm going to water it with some good old rainwater, since we've got a lot of it around here right now. Final little video of the end products as they have been worked on from one end of the spectrum to the other, cluing in on the variegated one that was repotted.